Thursday, February 7th, 2019. I'm going to make a little longer of a video, and I'm going to cover my views of Shiptracks, the polar vortex, some radar anomalies, maybe 5G, some legal cases that involved weather modification, and the new phased array radars that will eventually be replacing the next Strats. First off, I'm going to start with this quote from Bernard Eastlund in 2001. Now, Bernard Eastlund he passed away in 2006, was a geoengineer. And he says, great areas of Earth can literally be frozen or fried at will by controlling the movement of air masses, particularly near the poles where most of the Earth's weather originates in the form of high or low pressure air masses. Okay, if you want to hear more from this fellow, which I would suggest, you can go to Weather Modification History YouTube channel, and here's a video called Atmospheric Microwave Heaters, Bernard Eastlund Interview 2001, and you can get more on that. So since we're talking about this and the movement of air masses at the pole, we're going to start off with the polar vortex. And we're going to move right up. Here's a post I made on the 28th of January last month. And I state in the first image below, you'll see that the polar vortex is just fine. And then all of a sudden we get a sudden stratospheric warming event. Now, I took this term from the NOAA, that this was their term. Okay. It takes place, and then after this event takes place, which is this green event, here's what it normally looks like. It's this, and this is over the pole, mind you, and very, very high in the atmosphere. This is over 100,000 feet in the air. And it is, I think I calculated it would be like 57 degrees Fahrenheit at 100,000 feet. And then after that, this breaks up and starts wobbling all over the place, and that's where we got our polar vortex. I'm going to show you real quick on old school. This is your upper atmosphere, the very tip top where your polar vortex is. We can switch over to the wind. Yeah, and here we can see you nice racetrack looking polar vortex. And we're going to go back to temperature. Now this is December 18th last year. Now we're going to go ahead and then boom, we get this heat anomaly way high in the atmosphere over Russia, and it pushes through. Alright, and now we're going to go back to when this heat anomaly occurred. Okay, and we're going to switch back to the wind flow. I'm going to show you the polar vortex. There it is. And now we're going to skip through, and you're going to see it. See that break in it right there. Right here. And then it dips down. This is when we had our cold spell. Turns into two, and it just disappears and goes all haywire. Now I went through like a year worth of data, and this high in the atmosphere, your temperature stays fairly consistent. I mean, the only other time I could find another heat anomaly at the pole was at the end of February last year. And right after that, we had the same thing happen, and we had 3 nor'easters in a row, if you can remember. So, I just want you to keep that quote in mind, what I said about, well, yeah, this one first off, the sudden stratospheric warming. Now, people will blame this on the sun, and I'm just going to give you my opinion from reading this quote. Not even showing up. Should be right here yet. By reading this quote here about great areas of the Earth can be literally frozen or fried at will by controlling air masses at the poles. Now, at the same time that this happened, while we were freezing our balls off, Australia was on fire. So now we're going to move along next. We're going to talk about Shiptracks. And today, we had a load of them. And here in my post I talk about this is in the northern Pacific, close to the Gulf of Alaska. And then the other image is of sulfur mass. And we can see the shipping lanes, these straight lines. I can actually use this while I'm here. We'll go to chem sulfur. Right, and we can zoom right in. And we can see these lines. These are your shipping lanes, boats, okay? But we're not going to need that anymore. Don't need this anymore. So we got this. So they put off so much sulfur that, according to a study published by the Geophysical Research Letters, that thunderstorms now pop up along these lanes twice as often as they normally would. And this applies to coal-fired power plants as well. I've covered this many times because the sulfur aerosols make clouds grow bigger and intensify thunderstorms. And according to this study here, along these lanes, they get twice as many thunderstorms. So, we're gonna look. Oh, look here. This is this evening, and we can see more ship tracks coming off the east coast. Now, it's very rare if we catch them right here, but we're catching them today. How about it? Right? But I'm going to show you. Here is from earlier this morning, and we can just see all these ships. Now, people want to argue. They think it's airplanes, and they don't know. Oh, we don't know. And I know some of you don't believe in satellites and all that. But we can scroll down here and read all about geocar, because yes, it is a composite image, computerized. You need to learn how satellites work. At night, the blue colors represent liquid water clouds such as fog and stratus. Okay, so right there, that's telling you the blue indicates that it's lower level clouds. Okay, so these are in the lower stratosphere. Now, actually, these are going to be in the troposphere, and they're coming from the surface up. And you can watch these. And you can watch your normal airplane trails and see how they travel compared to these ship tracks. And we'll take a look at them during the day. Here's a little later in the day. And I mean, you could probably almost pinpoint where this ship was. Because these start low and then they expand going up. Because they're pumping up so much particulate. Right? And then the water vapor comes up off the ocean and it makes a bigger cloud as it goes and goes and goes, and then it finally starts drifting with the wind. They're purposely engineering the shipping fuel to create clouds to increase the albedo effect over the ocean, which is like the reflectivity. They're purposely doing this to reflect sun. It's like your solar radiation management for planes, but only they're using boats over the ocean, right? So, you got that. So we can go back here. I'll give you an example. We can go marine traffic. Yes, we're going to leave. As this pulls up, we'll be able to see all the marine traffic around the globe, which there's a lot. See this. Just so you know, and you can see the shipping lanes, the main shipping lanes. So there's that. So we know that these blue trails are on your lower levels, as opposed to where your higher level cirrus clouds from airplanes, whatever you want to call them, chemtrails, contrails. To me, it's all the same. They're all fake clouds. Okay, you got your lower level clouds from your power plants and ships, and you got the airplanes over top seating. Now the airplanes eventually sometimes do dip down a little bit if they're intentionally seating. Now in your commercial jets, they do vary their altitudes, but not that drastically. Here we're looking at the upper level water vapor imagery for North America. And today we had spring-like weather. We'll take a look at the radar imagery. We'll see this big old line of thunderstorms just pop up right here, yeah. And we can see right where they're installing their electric fence and this nice smooth edge, just guiding, actually shoving that. And then right over at the end here, installing high pressure right over Wisconsin, Michigan, right there, which is preventing all this water vapor from wrapping into a vortex, or like into that low. We got a little closer up of it right here, if it'll play. And you can see all the microwave patterns all through this. This will make you dizzy watching it. And you can see this perfectly straight line from them gouging into high pressure. Take a little closer look. You can see it here. You can see all the microwave patterns all through this. Yeah, right here is a good one. You can see the 3 layers, your lower level, mid-level, and upper level. And you can see right how they have the pressure installed, got in that higher level right along. I mean, look at that. Perfect weaving pattern. You can see it in it all day. All the microwave patterns. And then, what we're going to talk about. Oh, the 5G. No, rocket plumes. We'll talk about the rocket plumes. Because, yeah, well, the rocket plumes and 5G go right together because they are going to be launching 20,000 5G broadband emitting satellites. And so there's going to be a lot of rocket launches. If we pay attention, right there, we've seen this flash. I already had, yeah, right here. Right here, you see this. Now this is from when they set off a rocket. When did they set it off? Yesterday or the day before? But anyways, from the plume, from when the rocket was launched, it at night it gets trapped under a temperature inversion. All that smoke and soot, nanoparticulates, right? And then when the sun comes up in the morning, it excites all this particulate and it makes it highly visible on the radar feed. Right? That's probably right about when the sun comes up. And when the sun pokes up over the horizon, it shoots its energy to this radar, and it excites, it's like a chain reaction, and it excites all this particulate trapped in this valley. What is it? The San Joaquin Valley, I believe. We'll see. Yeah. It traps all this particulate, and then the sun shoots its energy through it, and then it sets off, yeah, it makes it visible on the radar. Well, what isn't visible on that one? We have to go back a few frames. So, we've seen this a couple days ago too, the same exact thing. And we will be seeing it a lot more, because they're launching 20,000 satellites. Did they edit it out of this one? There we go, right there. Okay. So what else do we want to cover? Was it? I already closed it out. So we're not going to cover the legal stuff or the radar stuff. But yeah, so you got some clues on the Shiptracks, polar vortex, rocket plumes, and we're going to be seeing a lot more of them. What else? Maybe I can pull up something about the court cases. Super darn Groundhog Day. You mean I didn't save that? Oh, here we go. Weather modification law in the United States. Now this guy did some homework, and he could only find 11 cases in the United States that involved weather modification. Here's your court cases: New York, Oklahoma, Washington, Texas, Nebraska, California, Pennsylvania, Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota, California again. And basically property rights in the clouds and all this. Like, this is, I'm not going to go through all this because it's pretty long, but I'll read the conclusion here. It is clear that man already has the technology to modify weather, and that more effective technology can be designed. However, we need scientific knowledge to understand how and when to use such weather modification technology, so that intelligent choices can be made instead of guesswork. Civilization would immensely benefit if damage from drought, floods, hurricanes, hail, tornadoes, etc. could be reduced. But before we reap such practical benefits, we need much more long-term financial support of basic scientific research on weather modification by the government. See, this is the scary part here, you know, by the government, because the one case, I think it was in the Pennsylvania one, it was talking about, I was calling it socialist clouds. It's like, because the water from the clouds should benefit the greater good rather than that, and be under supervision of the government. You know, that's just scary, especially when you look into what the government's trying to do with, you know, with eugenics, population control, UN Agenda 2030 and all that. When you dig deep into that, you know what they want to do, and which is herd everybody, herd people, control the water, control the food, herd people to large cities, move them out of rural areas, and all that. So when you really dig into it, the government controlling the weather is a horde idea. It's like this 5G stuff. Once you get into that, it's a horde. It's, what do they call it? A dystopian future. Like it's 1984, A Brave New World. It's all this horde science fiction novels all put into one, and people won't even acknowledge it. Like, they won't even think about it. Like, you can tell them, and I don't even know how to explain it. That's not my area. I'm trying to cover the weather and all that. And the weather's horrid enough. I mean, watching this day in, day out. Straight lines, perfect squares, and but anyways, that's my report. I hope I covered a few things that you weren't aware of. Other than that, we'll check back in at a later date.